there's all these people that elected him and that are identified with him, and they're not taking this well, you know, and so, well, they're not, it's not, and, you know, you might not think they're very bright and all of that, and you know, they're backwards and all of those things, but you know, you need to have respect for the rest of your citizens, and if your country isn't going to pull itself apart.
This is the moment that Jordan B. Peterson asked a hard question to Bill Maher on his own TV show. Before we hop into this reaction video, please go down right now, click subscribe, click like, and please comment this moment that you have a thought. I'm gonna reply to you personally, and we're gonna have a great, high quality back and forth discussion. Whatever it is, I got you. I'm gonna press play right now. Thank you.
But make no mistake about it, it's locked and loaded.
Can I ask a question about this?
Here we go.
Yes, I mean, I've been listening to all of this about Trump and watching how this conversations go in the U.S. And I have one question about it. I mean, there's all these people in the U.S. who are on the conservative side who are aligned with Trump for all sorts of reasons. And there's all this tension around his presidency and attempts to pull him out of his office for various reasons. And like, what do you think will happen if that comes to pass? What do you think will happen to these people that have identified with Trump? And like, how is it that Democratic types, for example, are holding out their hand to say to these conservative types, sort of like, welcome back into the fold?
Do you notice the body language of Bill Maher? And Bill Maher is the guy on the far side and the guy in the middle. Do you see their body language? Guy in the middle, his left hand is out, the hand that's in between him and Jordan Peterson. And he's leaning slightly away from him. Do you notice that? He's kind of looking over at him like he's an outsider on this discussion. And you know what? He kind of is. He's a Canadian talking about American politics on an American political show. We do see Bill Maher, patient, hands like this, looking directly at Jordan Peterson, leaning slightly forward from his chair. He's engaged with it. And just notice how reasonable Jordan Peterson sounds here. Bill Maher is very guilty of being the like catchy, gotcha type political discussion. Right now, they're diving into something very real. And they can't help that you got to be real about politics. Let's keep going.
Because it looks to me, from an outsider's perspective, that your country is polarizing in a way that's not good, and that, you know, people are going after Trump. And I understand that. It's not like I don't understand that, but
important point there. He's giving them the benefit of the doubt. He understands the criticism of Donald Trump. Just watched a previous video earlier. He was saying Trump is not someone to be modeled. He's not someone to look up to as an example of morality. He was just saying that as a fact. So he's giving them the benefit of the doubt before getting into the key issue, which actually isn't something that's a partisan issue. It's about how you could actually possibly unify a country.
There's all these people that elected him and that are identified with him, and they're not taking this well, you know, and so, well, they're not, it's not, and, you know, you might not think they're very bright and all of that, and you know, they're backwards and all of those things, but you know, you need to have respect for the rest of your citizens, and if your country isn't going to pull itself apart. And I really see this happening from an outsider's perspective when I come down here. And I lived in the States for a while, and it wasn't like this before.
It wasn't like it before. I noticed the crowd laughing as he kind of said the perspective of people who mock the people on the right, who eventually will have to get over Trump once. I mean, he ended up not getting elected and certainly couldn't do more than 2 terms. At some point, they'd have to get over it. How do you reunite people like that? And they were laughing at him. Oh my God. That's very embarrassing for the people who were laughing there. But you can tell the sentiment, even on that TV show there. It's not good.
If he was just a regular Republican president with Republican policies, I would say you'd have a point. But what is so alarming is the assault on democratic norms, what we were talking about here today. Things like threatening to put people in jail, threatening to put journalists in jail, wanting military parades, praising dictators, wanting to be a dictator. I mean, we are at a moment here, I try to impress on the people who are too young to remember a lot of presidents and a lot of elections, how incredibly different this is than anything that ever came before. I never much liked the other Republicans who were in office, but I have a renewed respect for them. George Bush and Mitt Romney would not have tried to pull this shit. They just wouldn't.
What about Nixon?
Nixon got caught, and he gave himself up, basically.
Well, although this president makes the Watergate burglars look brilliant.
Right.
Well, but it seems to me that it's not.
Point, we can be as tough as we're being on the president. I think we should, for all the reasons you just said, Bill, without telling his supporters that they're stupid, without saying basket of deplorables. If we want to bring them around to what I would say is a more enlightened kind of thinking, and if we want them to see Donald Trump as someone who's turned the presidency into one long infomercial for Mar-a-Lago, we can do that without saying to them, you've been duped, you're chumps, you're dumb, you're deplorable. And I think we need to talk to them with more generosity than we do.
I'm confused about how this...
Talk with them with more generosity than we do. There are some wise words. Finally, we're hearing some reasonable people on these talk shows. And I think we're about to get something a little bit less interesting.
Dovetails with your thesis that the left is too preoccupied with being non-confrontational. Right?
The left is too preoccupied
well, just that
with
we
being,
are. Okay, no, all right.
No, that's
I'm
a good question.
The idea that liberals, especially intellectuals, are preoccupied with politically correct speech. That they're not.
I see. What
and yet.
No, they're too preoccupied with identity politics by a large margin, and they tend to categorize everyone by their ethnicity and their sex and their gender, and I think all that does is turn people into tribal actors, and that the end result of that is catastrophe.
But weren't you also saying, though, that the left is too worried about offending people?
I think that goes along with...
I will.
Yes,
right.
yes. Well, that goes with...
But then on the other hand, when the left, for example, offends people in the political sphere, you're questioning whether that's somehow bad for society writ large.
Well, I'm concerned about. I think that those two issues are somewhat separate. I'm concerned about the dialogue in the United States around the presidency pulling people farther and farther apart. It has nothing to do with the behavior of Trump. I think this is an independent issue. You can say positive or negative things about Trump as you might.
But he's only there because they support him. You see,
I know.
That's the thing.
That's the issue. That's the issue. Is they did support him, and
without the circus, he's just a lonely clown.
Yeah,
but he has these people in Congress who are enablers, and this base that it is a cult of personality, not unlike dictatorships we've seen in the past. I mean, he said once, famously, I could shoot someone on Fifth Avenue and not lose any fans.
Yes.
And he has proved that to be almost true. I mean, we cannot imagine what he would do where they were turning him, because I don't know what that would be. I don't think it's anything, because whatever it was, he would just say, well, it's fake news.
But
actually, at one point, he was about to pass some quick, I think it was an executive order to ban guns or something, put restrictions on guns. And it immediately blew up in his face from his base. They really didn't like that. I saw a lot of content online around when that first came out, and they were like, what the hell's going on with Trump? Trump wasn't supposed to take our guns. So there are some lines he could cross. I think they're exaggerating the power of Trump a little bit there, although he had tremendous resilience versus the content that was put out in the media versus previous politicians.
But okay, so imagine he's impeached, just for the sake of argument.
Impeach or convicted.
Okay, either of those. But it seems to me...
Well, that matters. One, he has to leave.
Yeah, no, it's not an unimportant detail, but it still seems to me that it leaves you with the problem of what do you do with the disaffected 40% that are going to be very unhappy about this, independent of Trump's behavior.
Kind of like the Sunnis after we kicked over Saddam.
Well, that's a hell of a precedent to cite.
Yes,
right.
That's what I worry about.
Let me
Trump
suggest that this is an argument, looking for an argument rather than a solution. We're not waiting for impeachment. We're making sure that people understand Donald Trump cannot stop us today. Donald Trump could not stop me from the first net neutrality bill to make sure people have access to the internet. He could not stop us from doing that. He cannot stop us. He cannot stop us from acting on climate change with all this bloviating saying it's just a hoax. He can't stop us from fighting climate change. He can't stop us from having the best paid family leave and sick leave policy. He can't stop us. When we demonstrate people progress in our states.
Washington State.
No. But he certainly,
no one can stop us from boosting Washington
He certainly is
State.
stopping us from protecting the environment. he has signed executive orders, right? The first thing he did in office was to sign an order that said, hey, you want to dump your coal sludge in the streams? Go right ahead. The head of the EPA is Scott Pruitt. He's reversed all of
No, he just changed it to the Environmental Pollutants Association.
I know, but to say he can't stop us.
And he's changed the tax landscape.
He got me. Oh, I fed into the catchy gotcha statement, the Environmental Pollution Agency. You see how entertaining this is? We could just watch this all day, but it's not the high quality discussion that we need. I know it's fun, but we want to have the interesting and valuable discussion that Jordan Peterson is bringing to the table here.
Everywhere.
Absolutely.
I mean, you can't do anything in your state.
And he's appointing crazy judges left and right.
So
he's changing things as we speak. We don't cover it because of Stormy Daniels, but all of this is going on.
Right, yeah. Look at that at the end. Jordan Peterson's like, right. Stormy Daniels, I actually don't understand that comment, but I assume it's just some like dodge that isn't super relevant to the actual discussion at hand. They didn't answer the question. One guy, he chimed in and said, yeah, he said there's something about, respect or honesty. There's some word that he used, I forget the word, that needs to be directed towards conservatives because they said 40%, is it more than 40% that voted for Donald Trump? That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. And, you're risking polarization if you just try to make fun of them like they were before they started rambling about Trump not being able to stop them, but then kind of countering it with Trump has done all these horrible things and getting confused in the conversation. They're still fixating on Trump. They can't get off the Trump train in this discussion. They need to talk about the people. So if you found this interesting, I'd love to hear what you think in the comments below. I'm going to reply to you. We're going to have awesome discussion. That would be great. Please subscribe. Please like. I'm going to see you guys next time on the next video. Thank you very much.